Welcome back to Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast. This is Bobby C. You know, we're here on TikTok, deprogramming everything 12-step and going beyond the 12-step paradigm. Today we're going to be talking about energy, vibrational frequency. We're going to be talking about manifestation, how our minds work. And we're going to be talking about, of course, metaphysics. Today we got Doc.Jordan here with us. Hey Doc, say hi to everybody.
How's everybody doing? Doc.Jordan. Doc.Jordan.
Tell us a little bit about this frequency chart that we see and describe some of it.
I'd be glad to, Bobby. Okay, so what we're looking at here is what's called Dr. Hawkins' energy frequency chart. And basically what it is Dr. Hawkins looked at the various emotions that people have, that we have, and he came up with this chart to kind of track human development, the development that stages that humans go through. Now the chart doesn't specifically align itself with vibrations, but we have the technology today that does associate it with the various frequencies. So the first thing we want to notice on this thing is that shame and guilt is down at the bottom there. And if you know anything about addiction and alcoholism and all those issues of what they call disorders and whatnot, you know that those are highly associated with those disorders.
Yeah, and in a 12-step modality, we get a lot of that fear, guilt, shame, empathy. We get a lot when we're in a toxic relationship with Alcoholics Anonymous, because we trade one addiction for another. The addiction of meetings. You see disappointment, frightening, tragic, hopeless, evil, misery. Craving, yes, cravings right there.
Most
anxiety, regret, despair, blame, humiliation. So we come in vulnerable, very vulnerable into the 12-step modality, and they take advantage of that.
Yeah, because what actually happens is when you come into something like 12 steps, which is basically a shame-based modality. So you're right, you're never leaving this area is what's happening. Because we can identify shame and guilt. Let's just say you get a chip one day, you get a newcomer's chip, and then 2 weeks later you lose it for whatever reason. Now for me, nobody can tell me any different. I'm feeling ashamed. I'm feeling guilty. So I'm right back where I was, where I started off with. So that doesn't help me anywhere. The big thing about this that we should note is that when we're in this area, for like me, just for example, I grew up as a child in this type of environment. There was a lot of guilt, there was a lot of shame. So addiction could fit right down there with no problem. And as I got older, it was difficult, even though I felt joy at times, love at times, and those times. These were the specific areas that I was comfortable with. So I would inadvertently do things that would take me back down there. Even in my relationships, I would feel love in a relationship, but because it was not the shame and grief and guilt that I was used to, I would do things in the relationship to take me back down to that level.
It's just like when I walk into, when I first walked into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, yes, I had all the different, well, first of all, I was labeled. I was labeled an alcoholic. I was labeled an addict, by society even before walking into it. So people get their chips. They might have 6 months. They go back out. They come back in and have to get a new chip.
That's shame.
And that's shame. That's, that's saying that you know nothing that you knew before, no knowledge or experience really mattered before, because you got to start over again. Yeah. And that starting over puts you back into that cycle.
Well, you think about it like this. I don't know, some of the meetings you may have been to, but some of the ones I went to, they actually call it the walk of shame.
Right.
They call it the walk of shame. So you're back down here again. So that reward system in itself keeps you in a vacuum of shame and guilt. So how do you get out of that? Well, the first thing that has to happen, Bobby, is you have to, now that you're in this vacuum down here, you have to learn different ways to bring you up slowly. Because what most people will do is, I'll go to a meeting and feel good. It's just like going to church. You go to church or you go to a meeting and you feel good. Now you're not at guilt anymore. I'm way up here at acceptance. I feel accepted with these people. But because that's not my normal range, I tip that back down there.
That's the same as if I was going into a Anthony Robbins motivational speaker. So I go in there, I get pumped up, I leave, go back in my old ways, go back to a meeting, and what do I feel? I hear all the war stories, go into a toxic situation, and I go back, bring me right back down.
Yeah, All the meetings, and for the most part, especially when they're going over the war stories and whatnot, that just creates that energy that's down here.
That's creating the self-fulfilling prophecies that I
Yes.
talked about on my last podcast, and it's perpetual. I talk about it's a religion. I say that Alcoholics Anonymous is a religion, and you end up in purgatory actually,
Right.
because you have this cognitive dissonance. You're ambivalent. You don't know. Should I give my whole identity over? You're giving your whole life and will and care over to Alcoholics Anonymous. What are you left with?
It's the same thing with religion, you know. The point is to get you to look outside yourself. The point is for you to be powerless, for you to be dependent on power outside of you. Don't have the power is what they're telling you, and that's absolutely incorrect. But we were talking about these two books up here. That's the difference between these two books. This book here is the Metaphysician's Guide or Bible. We use that as basically the Bible. And then this one here is when you're going for drug and alcohol certification. So when I studied this book only actually has it's about a 700-page book, but it only has about 6 or 7 pages of metaphysics or energy in it. This one has all full. So you go from the physical aspect to the spiritual and energetic level. That's what our society in America has a problem with. That's why we have the biggest rates, because we stick to physical.
Yes, metaphysics is about beyond the physical realm.
Yes.
And it's all true. I mean, look, gravity, anything, you're talking beyond the physical realm is all the Hermetic principles go beyond the physical realm. People talk about spirituality and it could be used, you know, as soon as you mention the word spirituality, they put you in a box. Right. I don't even like to use the word spirituality anymore. I really like metaphysics better.
Yeah, and you know, that's all it means. It just means, meta means beyond, physics means physical. So beyond the physical. That's what Facebook is using, meta now. It just means beyond. You know, but it's such a deep learning, because now you understand way beyond that physical aspect of it. We can look at the pathology of addiction all day long, and that'll show us the physical aspects. But there's that energetic level that if you don't know that you're in this vacuum, what'll happen continuously. This is the explanation of why people with 20 years go out. It's because they never deal with the energy of addiction. So that energy is still with them, even though they may feel this up here, they'll still gravitate down towards here. So saying they have a dry drunk, still showing all the same things that he's done when he was drinking, but he's just not drinking. Well, he's still trapped in this vibration, what I call your vibrational homeostasis levels, right? We have a physical homeostasis where the body tends to equalize itself out, and then we have a vibrational one. So whatever your range is on here, if you can find your range on here, typically for addicts and alcoholics, it's down here. So there are practices and things that we do or we can do, and that I show people how to do, how to raise that elevation. And Bobby, this is without even stopping. This is not call for abstinence. If a person doesn't choose abstinence, then that's their prerogative. But I show people how to do that even if you're not abstinent, because the substance itself is not the problem. The problem is the energy. We feel that energy when you're feeling guilty or whatever. That's when people typically relapse, or what they call relapse. But that's typically when you're feeling those, what they say, that halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. You're dealing with emotions, which are vibrations, and if they're anywhere down here, it's right where addiction is, so it's going to gravitate. At some point, the intensity will get stronger and stronger to the point where somebody actually, either they maintain it. But for me, one of the things I do, the best practices that I do, is start my day off with Qigong, Tai Chi, move energy. You got to move it. You know, the energy system in our body has to keep moving. It's like water. Water, bacteria cannot grow in moving water. It's the same thing with energy. As long as your energy is flowing through your system, these illnesses or diseases, they don't happen. Disease,
yes. Disorder. Look, alcohol is not a Alcoholism, there's no such thing as a disease. This is my belief and my understanding through knowledge and experience. It creates diseases in the body.
It can.
There's no such thing as substance use disorder. Yes, we are in disorder array. Here's the chart that tells us if we're in disorder. We're in disorder if we're low energy, low vibration, and there's many different ways, and we're going to get into that in later podcasts. But today we just wanted to touch base, introduce everybody to Doc.Jordan. And Doc, I think Doc's graduating next year. He's going to be going to Sedona and have his doctorate degree, and we're all excited about that.
That's right.
So everybody stay tuned for the next video. And remember, we're deprogramming everything. Say goodbye.
Yeah, let them know they can get in touch with me through Facebook.
Tell them how, where.
Just go, you can go to Facebook and look up Doc.Jordan, DOCJORDAN. You can go there, or you can go to skidrowjoe.com. We've got the Skid Row Joe clothing lines and various other things. My book, Energy of Addiction, that teaches you all this. You can find that on Amazon, KDP.
That's Energy of Addiction.
Yes.
What's the other book?
Change Your Vibe, Change Your Life. That's where you and I will be doing our work. I don't know if you showed them that. Me and Bobby's putting together some workshops. You guys want to get in on those? Those are going to be powerful.
All right, so we just wanted to touch base today. Bobby C back. And don't forget to subscribe, please. Check us out. Go check me out on YouTube. Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast on YouTube. We'll see you later. Say bye, Jordan.
Toodaloo.